man. Doing pretty good.
Nice. Thanks everybody for checking us out. It's actually the 23rd concert we've done so far. So
Jordan concert.
Yeah, man. Huge. It's
a lot of pressure.
Yeah, I know. yes, sir. But we got the perfect guy for the job. This is my good friend, Mr. Jon Thomas. He's gonna play some piano and talk to him a little bit. How you doing, John? You all good?
Doing pretty good, man. Doing pretty good. The weather's brightened up a bit.
Yes.
You know, so the whole vibe and the atmosphere of New York City has changed.
Very much. So were you here the whole time during everything with COVID, or did you leave for a while?
In a way. So I was very fortunate. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and there's a fantastic killing trumpet player by the name of Dominic Farinacci.
Yeah.
Who's based out of Cleveland, Ohio. And I actually went home for like a few months, like maybe last June. Okay. And, he caught wind of it, a couple people caught wind of it, and they were like, hey, the piano faculty, him and a drummer named Anthony Tadeo are leading a program out in the Tri-C, which is a college out in Ohio. Mm-hmm. And they were like, hey, we have this program, our piano faculty, Joe Hunter, fantastic pianist out of Cleveland, Ohio. Shout out to Cleveland. Yes.
Yes.
All these great Cleveland, musicians.
Yes.
But yeah, so they were like, hey, do you want to be a part of this program? Yep. And I was like, cool, but I'm still in between New York. I'd still be going back to New York. Yep. And they're like, that's fine. So we kind of made it work to where I was jumping back and forth. Mm-hmm. I was teaching kind of a pre-college, like high school students on weekends. Okay. Like a couple times a month there, and I'd kind of drive back and quarantine here.
Yeah. You were driving?
Yeah, man. So I was here, but I'd be there for like a day. I'd drive up in like I'd drive up in like Friday morning, get there Friday night, teach there Saturday, leave right after class ended at 4, drive back, get here like 12 on Sunday, quarantine for 2 or 3 days, do a few gigs. Oh, I did that for 2 semesters.
That's serious, man.
It's seriously stupid. It's really dumb.
It all connects now, because I remember, I think it was a couple times I hit you up and you were just like, yeah, I'm driving to Ohio.
Yeah, we've been trying to make this happen for a minute.
Yeah. I was like, driving. I didn't think anything about it, but
man, he's like always driving to Ohio or whatever. Yeah, man.
Man, it's true, man. That was kind of the only way to get around for a while. Like, people weren't really flying, like doing anything like that. So, hats off to you for doing that. And how is Cleveland, by the way? Like, I've been through Ohio, believe it or not, a lot. Like a lot, like just for musical stuff, and then just for other stuff too. But I've been to Cincinnati, Cleveland, Canton, Akron, I think Columbus. I've been like everywhere in Ohio, man. So it's the
hang. Yeah. What were you doing out there?
Man, I did a couple concerts there. I remember when I was really young, I actually did a piano competition there too.
Oh, yeah. Cleveland has.
It was
a big one, I think, right?
Yeah, it wasn't that one, but I remember it was like a different kind of competition, but it was in different cities every year type thing. And I remember it was being hosted in Cleveland the year that I went, and it was so it was like Ohio. It's just like it's kind of weird to say. It was kind of a special place for me, because it's like every time I go back there, I'm like, man. I know nobody.
Never heard of anyone. That was the first time.
Nobody
a non-Ohioan, because to us, especially if you're from Ohio, like you're repping Ohio till you die. Especially Northeast Ohio, we hang tough in Northeast Ohio. If y'all don't know now, y'all know. Like
Ohio
play.
It's a special place, man. Like everybody I know that comes out of there just has like a super focused mentality. Yes. I feel like, whereas like it's definitely something about that place where it's like everybody's like, we just got to be on it. And
absolutely.
That's dope, man.
That's the vibe. It's a very honest place.
Yes.
You get a lot of honest people, and therefore you get a lot of people who are honest about what they do.
Yeah, really, that's really true. And so did you come to New York for Juilliard specifically? That's how you ended up here?
No, I came to New York for the new school. I moved here at 18. Oh, okay. So it was 2011.
Got it.
I went to the new school for my undergrad. Which is like a really cool experience. Ricky Berkman's there, Charles Tolliver's there, like Jimmy Owens is there, like all these like legendary musicians from all these records we've all been listening to, especially yourself. And so all these records and all these cats, I came to the new school, and I was very fortunate. I studied all over the place. Okay. But my 2 main teachers were Aaron Goldberg and Theo Hill.
Ooh.
So those, yeah, right, the Cats, you know. So that was like my introduction to New York.
How was that, man?
It was intense, man. It was what I needed too. I mean, those are
awesome.
both two people who are very intense in very different ways. Like
Yeah.
Aaron's super meticulous, and
Yeah.
Aaron's just like, hey, like I remember I think it was maybe our first lesson, and I sat down at his piano, and I'm just shaking, nervous, and all that. And he's super cool. Knowing Aaron, it probably offered me coffee and all this stuff.
Yeah.
He wants to give me a rice maker also. He's just like a sweetheart, but I still have it too. I still make rice.
That's amazing, man.
But
so what happened? What happened?
Oh yeah, but I'm sitting at the piano and I play something, and at this age, I'm young, so it's like, those people are like, okay, it's fine, it's good enough, or whatever. I'm 18, and he's like, man, it was pretty good, but you have to meet like the standard. And I'm like, okay, what's the standard? Like, I'm thinking like my peers and all that, and I'm ready. I'm like, cool, like let me go to Smalls, get my butt kicked, and he was like, no, the standard isn't your peers. And I'm like, oh, the standard is you. And he's like, no, the standard's not me. The standard is McCoy. The standard is, this is at 18. I'm already like freaked out. I'm already in New York, so I'm already getting my butt kicked, like, and then Aaron Goldberg, I'm thinking like, oh my God, and then he takes it to the next level. He's like, no, man, Herbie, Wynton Kelly, that's the standard.
Ouch.
Right.
That's tough.
Right. So
that's amazing though, that he said that. It's funny because it's like, I feel like, even someone like Aaron Goldberg, I've never met him. I don't know him at all. Yeah. But I've heard his playing. Like I'm a huge admirer of what he's doing. Yeah. And so it's like, I feel like I like create personalities for these people that I've never met. They have no idea who I am. But it's just hearing that story about him. I'm like, man, that totally fits with the fictional character I made up in my mind. that will go with his.
He's a sweetheart. He's like a keep it real sweetheart. That's the best way to like explain it. Like, he's like the nicest guy in the world. Like, if he'll definitely compliment your strong parts and your strong features of your playing, but he'll keep it real. He's still, because he's that, a bit of that old school thing.
Wow. Yeah.
So he has that.
Yeah. So that's how you ended up in New York. So how did you end up with music in general? What was the story like in Ohio?
Man.
How did that start? How did you end up going from there to?
It's a very interesting story. The funny part is I didn't know how I ended up in music until the end of 2018. Believe it or not.
Wow.
So prior to that, I would have told you, my brothers took lessons. We all played a bit of piano. The middle brother, I have two brothers. The middle brother was born with perfect pitch. Okay. And he sings, but it's like, God, why didn't you give it to the guy who like is gonna make his career? Like, but thanks, cool, whatever. And no big deal. And the other brother, he's a pianist and he also plays some trombone. Okay. Nice. So he went to like Interlochen and did all that kind of stuff. Yeah, yeah. And of course he went into tech, so why didn't you let me go to Interlochen? But it's fine. I'm not mad. So we that was the story. I would say, hey, my older brothers played instruments. My mom maybe played an instrument. What I found out is my grandfather passed away at the end of 2018. Okay. And at the beginning of his repast, they had him singing. And I've heard him sing. He generally sings church music. Like a very particular, really straight kind of Baptist thing. Yeah, hymns. Yeah. You know my man. And the way you said it, I know you know. He didn't say hymns. He said hymns. It's like a turn number 233. That's it. That's when you know you go to church in the 200s. Anyway, so them 200s be hitting hard. So with that being said, I found out at his funeral, like, he was really singing. They played all these recordings that we didn't have access to. He would sing on the radio in Cleveland. Oh, wow. Right. So they played all, I don't know who dug it up, but they had these recordings of him singing. He had this huge voice, and he studied at the place. It's called Suffolk School of Music. Okay. It's in the Phyllis Wheatley building in Ohio off 55th Street. And I think it's still there to this day. Wow. And he was there, studied voice. I heard my dad sing growing up. I'm not too close to that side of my family, but I heard my dad sing. And I had no idea he studied there also. Wow. And this was all in like the obituary and stuff like that, and just like talking about his lineage through this institution. So then me and my brothers came of age. I was 5, and we got free scholarships to go there. Okay. And that became kind of a part of the lineage. And I had no idea until 2018 that was a part of my lineage. through my grandfather and my father.
There's definitely something genetic to it. Like it's like you can never really like put your finger on it or quantify what it is, but it's like it definitely is a thing that gets passed down.
Yeah.
But that's incredible. So you found all of that out recently.
I found all of that out about 2 years ago. I had no idea.
Wow. That's really incredible. So that it's pretty, now that I think about it too, a lot of times people sort of think like, oh, like, when you're going to be a musician or why you're doing it from when you start.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like that for me either. I didn't even really realize it until I was like much older. Like, like I tell people all the time, like when I was like 17, 18, like high schoolish, like I wasn't really like I'm gonna be a like I love music, like I was playing it a lot. I had like a great community of musicians around me, but I wasn't really thinking like, I'm gonna do this. Like it was really just, for me, it was just scholarship money. Like it was I'm not. I wish I was joking. Like I tell people that they get offended. I'm like, I'm serious, man. It's like, do you want to pay $50,000 to
But that's what you did your undergrad at Juilliard, right?
I did, yeah.
Wow. So you really were just like, oh wow, this is just an option.
Yeah. Oh
wow, that's incredible,
sure.
man.
Oh, for sure.
Wait, so what else was on the table?
I was kind of interested in like mathematics, medicine, more like sciencey type, science type stuff.
You
like
just happen to be the world's most incredible piano player. It's great. It's cool. Great.
No, I'm trash, bro. Like the thing is I was you know what it was? I was playing a lot though, of course, because it's like my family was playing and I loved it. But it's like, I didn't really have a connection or a plan of just like this is a career or a business thing where it's like you go and you study and then you make money and like I wasn't even I was just like I'm just trying to play, just trying to get runs in with whoever, like play whatever I can do.
The art.
Yeah, really it was. So it's like it wasn't until like I would say like well into college or like coming out of college that it really like I kind of like decided like this is like a like a major life thing. So and it comes like you said, like finding out things about yourself, finding out information, and you realize that you were always on a path that you didn't even.
Yep.
I think that's what exactly it. Because you know what I'm saying. Like even though you didn't know that stuff about your grandfather, it was still like guiding you that whole time.
Yeah,
which is crazy.
Which is deep, man. When you think about it, I mean, that's life. I'm a very spiritual person. And very recently, I mean, everyone had this kind of crazy 2020. Yeah. And very recently, I found out some very personal things about myself that, if I had really thought about, or if I had, my life turned out really well considering, a lot of the stuff. And I'm like, wow, man. I mean, God really carried me through a lot of stuff because if everything was textbook how it should have been, like things would have been a lot crazier than they are.
It would be a very tough situation for me right
now. So I'm just like, wow, that's kind of heavy, that's kind of really deep.
It is. No, it really, really is. And so, I guess my question is, how do you think that does that affect how you play now or how you approach playing? Or is
which concept?
I guess like all that information you found out, and then like those sort of more spiritual things. Like, did it affect your playing at all, or has that been mostly just outside of you? Like,
the stuff with my like the lineage.
Yeah.
No, that's been outside. That's been more of a gratitude thing for me. Just okay, I do come from this really cool lineage, and my father isn't Benny Golson or something like that, but there's this little like kind of a creek that kind of slowly expanded and became a river, and led to a this pond or whatever, you know what I mean? It just kind of like kept going.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful for that. As far as the other stuff, as far as maybe the 2020 aspect, I think I had a big understanding of who I was. Once you understand yourself more, it's going to impact you. There's literally no way around it. And as an artist, and other artists will say, like, once you learn more about yourself, your art is going to change. How you approach your instrument is going to change. So fundamentally, everything I'm doing at the piano is completely different than it was prior to.
That's amazing. Yeah, because the reason I ask is because it's like I feel like I'm kind of always bouncing back and forth between those two things. Yeah. Where it's like, my life is impacting my playing.
Yeah.
Or informing my playing in some way. And then, but then sometimes I'm on the complete opposite side, where it's like I'm totally detached from like I just look at it as just like pushing buttons. It's almost like an athletic activity or something like that.
We're athletes with the fine muscles.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like I'm always bouncing back and forth between those two things, and it's like I never really end up staying in one or the other.
It's deep.
Yeah, you know, I'm not really, because it's like right now I know I'm in kind of a detached place from it, and I feel like 2020 for me actually kind of did that. Like,
how so?
Well, I don't know. I think it was. You know, now that I'm thinking about it, I guess it was before then I was always working on something that I had to do.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, so it's like, not that it was unpleasant or anything, but it was just obligatory.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So,
it's a very particular thing.
yeah, you know, so I wasn't really thinking too much about, you know, my real desire to do those things or not, because it was just like, oh, okay, this has to be done, or it's a contract, or it's a job, or I'm teaching, you know, whatever. So you just do it. But then once, you know, I was no longer obligated to do those things, like then I began to, like you said, you kind of learn about yourself, and I'm just like, you know, I'm actually like not that, at least for the time being, I'm like not that invested in that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like, so then I sort of became more like, you know, just push the buttons, you know. I'm just like just push that one, and that one,
but
two of those.
But I don't think that's I don't think that's void of even. I mean, because you know, I'm a part of your Patreon.
We're hanging out on the online all the time,
and you
man.
get into some deep stuff talking about sequences and talking about just how you view the piano.
Yeah.
And it's actually tremendously helpful for me. And I don't.
Oh, I'm glad, man.
I can understand if maybe you're like, cool, I'm not going to, you know, Keith Jarrett this right now and just moan all my solos.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not going to go, which is not just, that's obviously Keith Jarrett does more than that. But, you know, like we know what Keith Jarrett's doing. Keith Jarrett is the genius of piano.
Sure,
but like, you know, in terms of like the emotional content, you're like, cool, that's not what I'm going for right now. I'm looking at this kind of in this other way.
No, that's true.
But it's still it's still really powerful, man.
No, it's. I'm glad you're actually hanging out in those things, because it's good to have you. I guess really that sort of started because I was seeing, you know, so many people were like trying to learn certain things about you know, about piano or theory. Yeah. And it's just like the amount of money that it costs sometimes to learn those things, like in a institutionalized way. I'm like, in my opinion, it's just like, man, like it's not that serious. Like,
shouldn't be.
You know what I mean? It's like I can just tell you what I know. It's like, you know, just do this and this and this, and it's like I don't know if that's really worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, man. Like it's just, you know, there, and of course I'm grossly oversimplifying the issue, but for a lot of people it is that simple. Like they're just like, you know, what is a sequence? And I'm just like, man, I'm not gonna like I'm not gonna cut your bank account in half to tell you what a sequence is. You know,
it gets insane.
Yeah, it's like that's too much, man. It's like this, just do this and this and this and practice that, and you know, buy me dinner or something.
Yeah.
You know,
that's how it should be.
You know,
that's how it should
so
be.
that's kind of how I started with that. But a lot of that stuff is actually coming from. I actually learned a lot of that stuff in a math class. Believe it or not. Yeah, a lot of
that
stuff.
actually makes sense, though.
I learned a lot of that stuff.
It makes a lot of sense.
I learned it in a math class, man. And when I was young, I actually had an opportunity to go to like a summer program like for math, which sounds hilarious. Like this is but the thing.
No, I did SEMA for a few years.
That's what's up.
You did SEMA. You know,
I didn't. I know what it is.
Oh, okay, No, I get it. No, I did space camp.
Yeah,
which is literally just math camp in disguise.
It is.
So I get it.
It is like people hate on it, but it was like the kind of stuff he was talking about in that class. I was like, man, like. This is music in a way, like, you know. And then once I started delving more deeply into it, then I was like, man, you can actually do a lot of stuff to help your own playing and composition by just looking at it this way. So, yeah, that's what we're doing, and it's cool. So what are you what's your, you know, you're saying things are opening back up again, you know, which is nice. Yeah. You know, what's some of your musical goals? Do you have any things that you want to do next, or big things you're thinking about?
This beauty right here. This is it. This is it for me. Right now, I can't say there's anything else I'm focused on with the exception of the piano. I'm actually, Yeah. Without saying, I mean, I'm trying to clear my schedule as much as possible, just spend as much time as possible with this.
Yes.
That's it. No lofty goal of, being a millionaire.
Yeah.
Yet. I will be a jazz millionaire. Mark my words. But, that's later,
Jazz millionaire. That's a thing, man. Like now that I'm thinking, now that you
without rich parents, maybe not. I don't know. But I don't know.
Oh my God! I've actually never heard that term spoken before, but I feel like I've thought those words before. I'm just like, man, like Herbie Hancock's a jazz millionaire.
Herbie Hancock's Keith Jarrett's a jazz millionaire.
Oh yeah, like it's like, man, it's like if you actually think about it, that's crazy. It's like he just beasted the piano to such an extent that they were like, you know what, we have to give you millions of dollars.
That's incredible. It's really incredible. You know what I mean? Just like, man, you play those scales so well. Wow, man. I mean, that's incredible.
Blank check. No, it's true though. And I guess when I kind of think about it, like I suppose the way that you would have to go about something like that now is totally different than the way that like the people that I just was thinking about had to do it.
Yeah, I mean,
everything's different, but you can still do it. Yeah,
maybe. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I've had a few discussions with a lot of people I really respect about it.
Yeah.
And the consensus from people maybe 50 and up seems to be, hey, after the 90s, a lot of things changed. I mean, obviously things were changing in the 80s, and then we all know about kind of Winton coming, right, and like everyone was like, yeah, let's invest a bunch of money in jazz.
Yeah.
And that was the 90s. And
but he was beasting the trumpet, though. That's what...
Exactly, man. Like, there's still nobody like him, man.
Nah, he's calmly just...
the baddest in the world.
Shut the trumpet down. Like, he's like, it's over for the trumpet. Sorry.
No one else is touching that thing like him, man.
I'm
there's
sorry.
No one. So he did that, and that opened the way for a lot of the cats that we love.
Yeah.
Absolutely. The Brian Blades and the Christian McBride.
Absolutely.
And, all those kinds of cats.
So that's what the people over 50.
Yeah, they're saying like, hey, the 90s happened, and not a lot of people are really getting famous or rich from swing. Depends on what you call rich too. My definition of rich is probably different than a lot of other people's.
What do you think that means?
I mean, rich for me, if I can make a comfortable six figures playing
music.
Yeah, playing music, especially if I can like play improvised music in some way, shape, or form capacity. I play gospel music. I like soul and things like that. There's space for improvising. Wow, that's a great word. Wow, that's incredible. I promise you, I did go to school.
Improvising. That's a church word or something.
Improvising. Improvise on that piano. I sense a spirit of improvisation. Come on, God. So yeah, no, especially if I'm improvising, and there's a lot of room for that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, y'all. I know I'm supposed to be like I went to Julia. Right?
No, that's beautiful. Improvise, man.
You gotta improvise sometimes, man.
That's tough.
People aren't hip. But yeah, I think there's room for it. A comfortable six figures would be great. But but that's my definition.
Yeah.
But other people, their definition.
I think that's a very humane definition.
Well, other people, I think, it's kind of like rich, like millions of dollars,
yachts.
and they were given those kinds of contracts out in the 90s.
That is actually true. People they were getting like NBA contracts on the low to play the Fender Rhodes, and it was like. That's true. Yeah, you can't really do that anymore. Yeah. So in that sense, I do kind of, I get what they're saying.
And they were talking mainly about swing too.
Yeah.
They weren't even just talking about improvised music. They were talking about.
That's. I think that's definitely true. Like no matter how much you're cutting, like I don't think you're gonna be able to get those kind of deals.
Not just
anymore. Just off of that. Yeah, I don't really see that happening. No. But that's part of life. Things move forward. But no, that's an amazing goal, man. Just to recognize your gift and then say that I want that to be the source of what sustains my life. That's a really courageous thing to do, man. Like that's I commend you for doing that. So that's awesome. So let me ask you this: what are you gonna play? What do you think you want to do? Anything special, or a little bit of this, a little bit of that?
A little bit of this, a little bit of that. I've been trying to dig into our music more, music by jazz musicians specifically.
Yeah.
A lot of times we tend to play, songbook tunes.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah,
stuff,
exactly.
yeah.
We're playing more out of that, Irving Berlin kind of thing, or we're playing Cole Porter tones.
Yeah.
And I think that's hip, but I think we're missing a lot of information by not checking out, us.
Yeah, for sure.
And really seeing how the mind of a jazz musician works. So,
Yeah.
like I said, for the most part, I've just been kind of dealing with the instrument and haven't been learning as many tunes. But when I do learn, I try to learn those kinds of tunes.
Yeah.
So I'm going to play a few tunes by some jazz composers. I might play one or two of mine.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is really a thing, where, I think a lot of times people forget that standards, I think, were just kind of a jumping off point for those kind of ideas.
Exactly. I mean, it was a way to get money.
Yeah.
I mean, you love...
Yeah.
Oh, I know that. And then you can fit up your hip stuff. And then you just, and it's like, great, cool. So they love Porgy, I loves you, Porgy.
Yeah,
and you know what I mean? And, buy my record. And
Right.
you get the hit stuff in there. And I feel like that's what they were doing.
No, it's true.
And the changes were pretty, too. Don't get me wrong. They were really pretty songs.
Absolutely, yeah. But you're right, though. There is definitely something special about music that was composed for that.
It's different.
It is.
We were
different.
vibing out on the tune I may try to struggle through later on.
Oh, yeah.
I was coming in. Now this is how bad this cat is. I was coming in here and I'm just like, oh, okay. There's this tune I just started learning last week, and I just so I'm messing around with it, trying to get a feel for the piano, and he's like, yo, that's that tune. And I'm like, man, come on, man. I got a light voice. We about to do an interview. My bass ain't that heavy in my voice. Chill. He's like, yeah, we about to play that tune. And he comes in here with a soprano saxophone and a beautiful tone, and I don't even want to play the tune anymore. Jeremy just completely sings through the saxophone this melody out the blue. And I think he wasn't even dressed up all nice. He came in with like a white beat or something like that with a soprano saxophone and just murdered this tune. So I might play it later, but we'll see, man. I'm still recovering.
What though? That just happens to be my specific jam, like that specific.
But that's the thing. That's what happens when we're playing our music. That's
true.
It's in our continuum, and we get excited about it. You're like, yo, this is my tune. You know what I mean? And you run and grab this other instrument you're really freaking good at.
Oh man, you know what? I always tell people I have a very toxic relationship with the soprano saxophone. Because first,
focus, man, you got me laughing. That's how good he is at soprano. The residue from the soprano, just talking about it.
I'm terrible, bro. You know what it is? I could give you some long tones. But
that's what it's about. That's what it's about, man.
I give you some long tones.
That's what it's about.
But as soon as this starts happening, it doesn't. It's not. I'm not there. No, I'm not there. So, it's like I will, But man,
he can pipe everyone.
No, I love the saxophone though.
No, it's
I love the soprano.
I
love the soprano saxophone.
Who was I talking to? I was talking to Sullivan, and Sullivan said the same thing.
Yeah.
We were just talking about soprano or saxophone, and I think we both mentioned soprano is the one.
It is, right?
And he was like, "Yeah, there's something about piano and soprano.
It's
piano players. And to me, it's the most spiritual one.
It is.
I don't know why no one picks it up. Really.
I don't know, man. You know who's a huge influence for me is Yusuf Lateef, man.
Oh,
yeah,
my
Yusuf, because that guy was like, you know what? I'll snap on the oboe calmly. He was like,
calmly.
Let me get an oboe, and was going off, and I was like, you know what? I think I can get on that kind of time, man.
Yeah,
because I don't really have to do too much. Because these saxophonists, man, is like, you're like, man, you got to play your scales and fourths going. I'm like, it's too late for me, man. I'm in my mid-30s. I'm gonna give you some long tones. I'll work on my intonation. And that's about where we're gonna be. But I love it, man. It's something about the tone of it, man. We should definitely record some stuff with the piano. And
soprano. Man, that'd be gorgeous.
I'd love to do it.
That would be gorgeous.
I'd love to do it, man. So hey, I'm gonna turn the stage over to you. Do your thing. You said you want to chat a little bit in between, so I'll leave that there for you.
Cool.
Whatever you want to do.
Great.
So just bear with us, guys. I'm going to get everything set up and turn the stage over to Mr. Jon Thomas.
Cool.
Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, man.
All right.
So, like I said, I'm going to be playing some tunes by jazz composers because I feel it's insanely important. And it's some of the most beautiful music that, I think we should play a lot more of as musicians, as jazz musicians. So the first song is a tune by Cedar Walton entitled Blues for Myself. There's a Cedar Walton album by the same name, and it's a really hip album. It's very funny. The album, it's a solo piano album. There's only one other Cedar Walton solo piano album I know of. It's from, I think, a Maybach concert series. But this album, Blues for Myself, it's really spiritual. I mean, you turn it on, you're like transported. I mean, seriously. I mean, when this live stream is done and you've donated $1,000 to me, and you've called your grandmothers and your friends and your family, and you told them, hey, get on here and donate him a bunch of money. When you're done doing all that kind of stuff, go turn on this Cedar Walton record. It's transcendent. But anyway, this is Blues for Myself by Cedar Walton. Yeah. And that's Blues for Myself by Cedar Walton. So a few years ago, I was doing a study with my private teacher, Ted Rosenthal, and we were working on a few composers. That's how he does his study sometimes. He'll maybe focus on a composer or two. And I think we got to a point where we were working on Monk and Horace Silver at the same time. So both of those sounds kind of got in my ear, right? You know, Monk with his like, you know, kind of complex, very sophisticated sense of harmony, and Horace Silver with his sense of feel good and swing and groove and all the jazz messenger stuff. So I was just kind of listening to that, and I have a few church gigs that I sometimes bounce between and play, and kind of all of these sounds kind of mixed in my ear. So I decided to write a song called "The Message," and it's just a combination of these sounds that were kind of existing around me, and it just kind of came out. I didn't kind of in a contrived way say, okay, cool, I'm going to write a song. It's going to sound like Monk and then Horace Silver in church. But it just kind of happened. And I said, okay, well, what is this? And I thought about what those people stand for. And, you know, they're preaching. Horace Silver is definitely a preacher as a pianist. And Monk was preaching the truth also. And then, of course, church. So, yeah, I called it, you know, The Message. So I hope you enjoy this composition. Cool. That was my own composition entitled "The Message," and I'm gonna shamelessly. I think it's probably on your screen, but I'm gonna shamelessly plug in the donation thing. My Venmo's up there, Jon Thomas Edward. We sincerely, I mean, all artists, especially now, sincerely appreciate any support we get from the lovers of the arts, the lovers of jazz music. We absolutely need your support right now, but we absolutely, I think the arts community, we're in a good space in a way. There's a lot of time to really reimagine things, but in that reimagining, we like to also eat sometimes. So we're grateful for your support. And with that being said, I'd also like to thank Jeremy for having me. I'm really grateful to even touch this guy's piano. I don't know. Yet again, that's another thing you guys got to look up. I'm giving you guys a lot of homework. So check out that Cedar Walton album, right? That's super hip. It's going to change your life. It's gorgeous. You can meditate to it. It's insanely beautiful. But then also, if you're coming from my page, check out Jeremy. Jeremy has a few projects. Jeremy is a fantastic, unbelievably gifted and studied and methodical pianist. And I mean, his spirit comes through every time he plays. So really someone to check out. Yeah, so that's that kind of housekeeping stuff, but now back to the music. So with that being said, I'd like to play a composition. This is the one I was talking about that Jeremy came through and kind of played on soprano when I was kind of warming up. It's very new to me, but it's so beautiful. It's called Lament, by J.J. Johnson, an incredible trombone player. It's one of the most beautiful ballads I've ever heard. Yet again, it's new to me, so I hope I'm doing it justice by playing it, but it's just been really in my heart. So here's Lament. Lament. J.J. Johnson, incredibly beautiful. And I used some of Cedar Walton's changes. I don't know if you guys, know this about me by yet. I've talked about Cedar Walton after every tune, but I'm a big Cedar Walton fan. I'm a fan of his compositions. Unfortunately, never got to meet him, but I'm a big fan of what I believe his spirit would be. As Jeremy was saying earlier, he's like, hey, you hear someone's music and you kind of imagine what they're like. And I've done that with Cedar a billion times. And of course, I watch like interviews and stuff like that. But, I just, imagine what his spirit to be. But, so I'm a big fan of Cedar, and, I stole some of his changes. The changes come off of, or some of the changes come off of his last album. It's called The Bouncer. I think it was released in 2011. It was right before he passed. But, but it's a J.J. Johnson composition. That being said, I may only play one or two more. The next song is by a trumpet player by the name of Benny Harris. It's probably most known by Charlie Parker. He was probably the one we probably hear play it the most or associate the song with, and it's called Crazeology. It's some rhythm changes with some fun in it. So hope you guys enjoy.
huge thanks to you. You're absolutely beautiful set. It's a joy to hear you play again in person. And I said, this is the most fun part for me. I just get to chill out and just listen to everybody go bananas. So that was amazing. And a huge thanks to Pop Drone and also to my friend Gregory Clark, who's doing a lot of work behind the scenes to help make this stuff possible. And as Jon mentioned, there's a donation link. It's right down there in the corner. So, if you want to donate directly to him, please do. Our artists really need it during this time. And so anything you can do would be greatly appreciated. And as Jon mentioned, this whole thing is part of a thing that we've got going on Patreon where we do these live concerts. And then I also teach some classes about theory and music history and stuff like that. So just wanted to take some time to thank all the people that are, helping to fund this and make it possible. Ms. Jean Shimataki, Mr. Alan Silberglate, Jeff Measures. We're so thankful to you for helping to make this possible, and also Irene Drivis. So thanks to you guys for your generosity, and if you want to find out more about it, just look us up. So we've got some more guests coming pretty soon. I always have to kind of work out some scheduling stuff because now cats are going out of the country and stuff again.
It's happening.
Which is good. I'm actually really happy for that because when I first started doing this, it was more like I know people were itching to play. I was like, I got all this gear lying around. So
you already had everything?
Yeah, I already had all this stuff, man.
Oh, wow.
I've been recording and doing stuff for a really long time. So it's not a huge jump to go from recording to streaming. It's a lot of the same type of stuff that you need. So I was like, just come over and play. But people are still wanting to do it, so I'm happy to have it, happy to host it. So thanks for your support, and we'll see you hopefully soon. Take care.